Yeah. What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Boslake. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one and the only. It is Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, what's going on today, buddy?
Well, coming back through the achievement list on one of the games we touched earlier, that was a lot of fun. I started playing some Extraction again, though.
Really?
But yeah, if you ever want to jump back in, I'm not quite at the end yet.
I just don't know if I will. I can't. I
play it on cloud.
Oh, gotcha. I just downloaded yesterday. It was Forza Horizon 5. Because that's a small game. 100 gigs later. It's
a good time to get into that one.
Oh, dude. Well, okay. So they just dropped the Hot Wheels expansion. We'll be talking about it on next week's episode. And I just jumped into Stray this morning. So yeah, my games for review are done. So I already beat my review games this week. So I'm on to kind of catching up on other things and then getting ready for next week. So it's kind of a nice feeling to be ahead of this curve. I'm like never ahead. I'm always behind, right?
It never ends.
No,
you gotta enjoy it while it lasts.
What doesn't end either is our show, where you can join us live over on twitch.tv/the official ITG, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews at 11 a.m. Eastern every day, Monday to Friday. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, coming up on today's episode, DICE continues to work away at Battlefield 2042 specialists and gameplay. Sony is getting sued for PlayStation 5 game crashes, and photos start to pop up for the set of the new Fallout TV series. You excited for that one?
That one has me excited. Yeah,
so.
I've seen what fans do with a very low budget, and
nice. That's fair.
Those are already amazing.
Awesome. All right. Well, why don't we get into it? Man, DICE is changing Battlefield 2042's mainline specialist, starting with facial hair. Well,
oh, good.
Man, look at just it's got some Sharif over at VG 24/7. The journey to make Battlefield 2042 better continues over at developer DICE. This week, the studio shared new visual makeovers of 4 of its specialists. Dude, it's weird. Like, I just don't get it. They took off some facial hair, added some more rugged appeal to them, and things like that. Does this matter to you at all?
Not one bit. I go to think of Rainbow Six Siege, the only operator game that works really well, in my opinion. Sure. And can you imagine? Okay, so Jackal has a beard now. Affects literally nothing.
No, absolutely. The new designs are a response to one of the earliest points of player feedback. In that lighthearted demeanor of the game's characters does not reflect the grim reality of its war-torn world. This many months later, weird. This DICE is addressing the problem, starting with the easiest aspects to fix. Facial hair apparently is one of those aspects. Dude, just I don't know.
Did that take anybody more than 1 hour at that studio?
I don't know. I'm not
an hour that could be spent putting a scoreboard on the game.
Well, right. Generally, all 4 look more gruff to better align with the state of Battlefield 2042's world. There are a few other tweaks to each of their faces, but there's neither here nor there. These new designs only shown for the 4 noted whatever is in the new patch due to early August. So that's coming out shortly, but again, it's not the impact everybody needs for the game. Nobody cares about the operators, Scott. Like that's the biggest thing, man. The game needs the issues fixed. That's the problem.
Yeah, you could take the face off of my operator entirely. I could be running around like Assassin's Creed mode, and I'd be okay with that.
Well, that's just it. Though the visual design of Battlefield 2042 specialists and their constant equipping have definitely been big points of criticism for players, the main problem they represent is the erosion of the series class system. DICE acknowledged that, much like so many other creative decisions made during development, turning classes into specialists was a bad idea. The developer promised to change the structure, but we still don't know the form of it, what it's going to take. Scott, what did they need to do to change this game to bring it back to what Battlefield fans know and love?
I think somebody just needs to open up the Battlefield 1 system, copy, paste.
Really, eh?
There's really nothing else that's required. Just whatever the structure was, the items that you pick don't need to be relegated to one operator. I'm not sure who thought it was a good idea to move over to operator stuff, but it seems very easy for me to roll it back.
That's
They've been they had that system for 20 years.
Yeah. Oh man. Some suggested simply bringing back the 4 major classes and slotting the existing specialists under them. This would require imposing a few limitations in order to achieve some parity for the group, short of scrapping the whole system altogether, although I find it hard to expect any meaningful changes. The August patch is also set to introduce Battlefield 2042's first map makeover for Kaleidoscope. This redesign is adding cover to much of its open space and conquest, tightening up spread of capture points, and giving the bizarrely pristine landscape a visual makeover to reflect the damage of war. Scott, is it too late to solve and fix this game, or are they just better off to move on?
I think they have to stick to building it, like fixing it, just because of the name associated with this game. You can't leave a blemish out there like this. But I don't think individually, in the case of 2042, I don't think there's much saving to be had there. If they are, it's going to be 2 years after release. Here's the 2.0 update.
It's kind of like Cyberpunk, right? 2077. Yeah. 2 years later, you got the final game, or at least the state of the game that should have launched. But it's also hard to predict whether Battlefield 2042 will ever make it out of this tunnel. The game's first season launch did attract new players, bring back some who gave up on it last year, but those figures are now near what they were at launch. With other heavy hitters on the horizon, such as Modern Warfare 2 in October and Warzone sometime after, the game could very well be buried once again. Scott, I think that's the biggest thing, right? They see the competition coming. Dude, it's going to be a heavy hitting season once again. Call of Duty is back. Like they never go away. And that's their biggest competition. Can they withstand what Call of Duty brings to the table? And I honestly don't think they can.
I think they're going to slip below for sure, very easily. This is the same kind of thing they said about the release window was so dodged because of Halo. It was Halo's fault that Battlefield's not good.
Right. I forgot about that comment. Scott, they're coming for you. Yeah,
I didn't do it.
It's funny. I forgot about that comment, actually, that they were blaming the other game on the fact that it didn't release well and didn't time with players because they're all so busy on Halo. Well, the fact is, I think Battlefield had its own fan base that if the game was good, they would have stuck with the game. And that's just clearly not the case, right? And then did you jump back into the new season and check that out at all?
No, I was playing shortly after they had announced it, but I didn't see any changes in the time I was playing. So I got bored and I bounced out again.
Ow,
it's gonna be the third time I've deleted the game. I keep trying.
Well, that's just it, right? You kind of keep trying on some of these games, and hopefully that they'll come around and maybe finally click. Like, dude, I saw a tweet this morning from Sean Murray about No Man's Sky and all the pieces of content they've dropped. Dude, there had to be something like 20 of these pieces of content that they've dropped. I've tried numerous times to get into this game, and I cannot for the life of me get it to click. And I've been looking for that survival aspect of a game too. Oh, there's so many cool things that they brought to the table that I thought maybe this could be it. But you start at the very beginning, and that's the grind to get through that beginning stage that just can't pull me in. And with Battlefield, I find that there's just not enough to keep anybody around. It doesn't want to pull me in. I was there when they first launched. I had a decent time, but it wasn't enough for me to stay at all. Like, not even close. And now we're even seeing Halo, where their player base is falling off too, because they're not enough to keep the players invested. It's hard, man. These games are not easy to keep your community going, right?
I would like to see it transition back to the olden days before Battle Pass, loot boxes, and all that, where you just buy a game and you play it for a couple of years and then you get the next version of it. And that way it's not such a bet. Okay, I'll buy this. Maybe in a year it'll be, I won't worry about this $80. The prices keep going up too. So it's just, it's very unfortunate that player mentality is kind of like this where it is now. It makes sense, but it's just unfortunate.
No, for sure. There comes Brad with Northern Nerdcast, says 5 years late, but I'm finally enjoying Final Fantasy 15. Tried 3 times to get into the game, and it finally got there. It's one of those things, right? So that's cool. But dude, what's that?
That's how I've had my experiences with most Final Fantasy games. I'll come back around and eventually it'll click. But
Nice.
15 was easy though. That one got me.
It did, eh? That one hooked you. Again, I haven't had one
Yeah.
really kind of click since 10. I've tried Final Fantasy 15 and it was just kind of, it was there.
I think I like 15 because they remind me of an emo band that I used to listen to.
Well, let's get into some other troubled waters then, Scott. Sony faces lawsuit over supposed PS5 crashing defect. Comes from Robert over at Push Square. A class action lawsuit has been filed against Sony in the US with regards to the supposed PS5 defect that shuts the console down completely when playing the games. The person who filed the lawsuit, Christina Trejo, cites a range of Amazon customers' reviews as well as Reddit threads that date back to around when the current gen system first launched in 2020. The gist of the argument is that the defect is a fairly widespread issue and that Sony shipped the console despite being aware of the problem. Of course, lawsuits like this can be quite common when it comes to customer electronics, but if Christina cases hold up, well, then Sony may have to pay a fine. The thing is, Sony makes note of the potential defect on its official PS5 support page, saying that users can have their system brought in for repairs if it's shutting down during gameplay. The lawsuit itself acknowledges this fact. It's also a bit back and forth, isn't it? Scott, dude, this is a kind of a weird one, but
yeah,
people like to sue over everything. That's
it's right? And it's well, it is quite a defect that they've known about. So it runs. There's somebody there that ran the math. Is it worth doing a recall? Is it worth kind of trying to pull it all back, or do we deal with it on an individual basis? It's the same kind of idea they make with car insurance, really.
Yeah, I have yet to see my PS5 crash. I've never been kicked out during a game, and I definitely played for some long sessions on the PS5 and Brad's the same way. He said, but if you play for hours on end, this will happen to any system. Dude, remember the red ring of death? Whoa. That was
it turns back on afterwards, right?
It does. Yeah, eventually. If you got to get that little piece of solder out of the way. And oh man, what a mess that was for Xbox. I can't believe that.
I found a great way to fix up the 360. It involved a blanket and the fridge. It was a unique creative fix.
Oh my goodness.
Do not try that one at home.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens here with Christina's case against PlayStation and Sony for her PS5 as a defect. It's
nobody wants that. That's really unfortunate that there is any sort of defect at all.
It is, but your system costs what, $500-600? What's your lawyer going to cost?
That's true, but I don't like spending a month's rent without getting something for it.
Yeah, right. So we'll see if she actually can pull out this case and what she gets in return. I wonder how much she's actually asking for, because lawyer fees are going to be expensive, especially if you're going up against Sony. Like, man, sometimes you should just pick your battles. We'll see what happens though. Scott, let's move on to the world of Fallout, because this is the first Fallout TV series set photos arrive. Check out the super duper mart. Scott, let's come from David over at GameSpot. Behind the scene photos of Amazon Prime's videos Fallout adaptation have made their way to the internet. Surprise, surprise. Collider got an exclusive set of pics courtesy of a reader, and the photos are fueling further discussion on the show's commitment and to authenticity. Dude, to me, taking a look at the photo, it looks like Fallout to me.
It does. The only difference that I can really see, and this is nitpicking, is that the model of the car is not quite right. It is older, and that's proper. But the vehicles in Fallout universe use a small nuclear engine to drive. And the front would be all really weird and heavy and big, and that's not what we see here, because that technology doesn't exist. But I'm curious to see if they'll add something to that as time goes on.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. You're excited. I'm not a big Fallout guy at all. Nate is. I think he's excited to see this as well. We'll see what happens with the world of Fallout in this series. Dude, there's a bunch of TV series. We talked about it yesterday as well. It seems to be a hot topic lately, honestly. But the amount of video games making their way over to movies and television now, and actually having the pedigree to kind of withstand for gamers, because we've seen how bad they've been in the past. But they've really kind of starting to come around a lot more. And I think the producers and everybody in the film and television world are starting to take video games a lot more seriously than what they have in the past. And I think that's starting to stand up with the video game itself, because now you are comparing. We always compare them in the past, but now we are really kind of nitpicking and making sure, hey, like, don't screw over our game here. We love this franchise or whatever that may be. Like The Last of Us for myself, right? I'm like, how close is it going to be to The Last of Us? And there's a huge Fallout fan base that are going to be hot on this topic, Scott.
Oh, there's a lot of freedom that they have in the Fallout universe that to make any story, you can kind of fit it in anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that'll be infinitely more effective than Halo was, where Halo, they kind of went between the games and the book and hit neither, in my opinion.
Really? I know a lot of people love the Halo books themselves. So I don't know, everybody's got their own little take on how things are adapted into one genre to the next, but it's always, man, I think everybody now is trying to go as widespread as they possibly can, from games to books to comics to television to movies, and kind of have it just one big massive ecosystem, kind of like we saw with MCU. I think you just kind of want to be a bit of everywhere, right? From the movies to the Marvel's game that came and went, and other things like that. So
yeah.
Oh, what could it be?
When's the next time they're going to try a Marvel's game? Or an Avengers game, I should say.
Man, I don't know. Honestly, after this Avengers from Crystal Dynamics right now, Crystal Dynamics, I'm kind of skeptical if we ever get another one. Like, I really don't know if we will see another one.
Yeah.
Brad wants to know, we've seen the Resident Evil on Netflix. I have not. You should know that, Brad. Scott, how about yourself?
Oh, I haven't had Netflix in a long time now, and I'm kind of hesitant to get back in because then it'll eat a bunch of my time.
Yeah, no, for sure. Our good friend Kyle commented on yesterday's episode that it's actually good. Like, it's really one of the best he's heard. So that's cool.
Good.
Let's move over to what Activision is up to as they further embrace Steam with the official publisher homepage. Let's go some Morgan of PC Gamer. Activision is coming back to Steam in a big way in 2022. I'm just checking. Okay. We've known. I hit a button. Man, it's funny how computers just mess you up sometimes, Scott. We've known for a while now that the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 will be the first COD to arrive on Steam since 2017, dude. 5 years.
See, I was out of the loop. I was playing it on, I think, through Battle.net.
All right. Well, I never played Call of Duty on anywhere but my console anyway, so me, it never really mattered. But it looks like Activision is getting ready for his grand return by guising itself up with an official publisher homepage. Publisher homepages are what you see when you click on the publisher's name on a Steam store page. Before today, Activision's publisher's link led to a default list of its Steam games. Now, it has a more official publisher homepage with a banner image, an option to follow the publisher on Steam, and collections of Activision games curated by Activision. So there's a stepping stone. I think this kind of has a lot to align with what Xbox does, right? Obviously, Xbox now looking to, the purchase isn't finalized, but that's where they're going. And I think you're starting to see Xbox transition into the PC world as well ahead of Sony, but Sony's starting to kind of catch up. We talked about that on yesterday's show, so you haven't seen that one. That was a good discussion. Make sure you swing by and check that out. And but everybody wants a bit of that PC market. They're starting to see we do well on console, but why not help grow our fan base and make a lot more money, honestly, by going to Steam as well, Scott?
Well, I don't. This is just moving things from PC to PC in this case. But I'm wondering, is this shutting down the Battle.net entirely? Is that a precursor to that being retired in favor of other systems? Are other Activision games going to come out to Epic Game Store? That's the kind of thing that I'm wondering here.
Oh, gotcha. Now, this to me, they're ramping up their PC catalog, right? They've been there, sure, but they haven't had the presence that they're looking to build now, because Xbox is so prevalent on PC with the Xbox Game Pass that here's an opportunity as well to kind of carry over.
Actually, that's something that I hadn't considered. Maybe this is some sort of an inclusion into Game Pass eventually.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Because like I said, there's no Call of Duty game that's not on PC already.
No, for sure, right? I definitely, yeah. No, they're there, but they just haven't had they've always boosted towards Xbox or PlayStation, and then as of late, they've had
Steam is neither.
Well, so they've always geared towards PlayStation, though, right? When they had the showcase reveal, it was all about PlayStation. But now they have the ability to kind of showcase on Steam as well. So I think they're just looking to kind of expand a little bit and say, hey, don't forget about us over here, because it is such a huge player base on Steam as well. Dude, Steam is massive. Like, I just can't believe how big that is. Like, you think consoles are big? Check out the world of Steam. Like, there's so much dropping there every day.
There's other players in the space, but Steam is just massively bigger.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Scott, why don't you take the next one? This is such a you thing. This is not me whatsoever.
Yes, John Romero, the Doom legend, confirms that he's working on a new FPS.
Woo-hoo.
Has my attention. This is written by Michael Hardens on PSU. John Romero, the co-founder of id Software and designer of some of the most iconic first-person shooters of all time, has confirmed that his studio, Romero Games, that's an apt name, is staffing up for a brand new FPS. Romero took to Twitter to confirm the news, posting this message. It's a dawn for Romero Games. We're working with a major publisher to develop John Romero's next shooter, an all-new FPS with an original new IP. Our team is expanding, and we're looking for talented people of all positions and at all experience levels, particularly those with Unreal Engine 5 experience. End quote. Romero worked on a number of pioneering FPSs during the 90s, including Doom, Doom 2, Quake, before departing id Software and working on with the likes of Eidos Interactive, THQ Wireless, and Midway. He later formed his own studio in November of 2015 and developed Sigil and Empire of Sin. So if you're unaware, Romero is one of the founding fathers of all modern FPS.
Yeah, it's man, he's definitely got a legacy behind him, right? So now let's talk about what he's building next. Obviously, Unreal Engine 5 being one of the biggest staples in the industry right now. A huge movement on that, with over half the developers in the space using Unreal Engine 5. Kind of makes a lot of sense. Looking to step things up. Brand new IP, Scott. Do you think we still stay in the same kind of aesthetic shooter of Doom, or are we into something a little bit more like Call of Duty or something?
Oh, it could be very military heavy, but or just regular kind of gruff military. But I think it's going to be fantastical. Yeah. Everything that Romero has his hand in seems to be dialed up in gore and kind of zany. Like you think of Doom, and it kind of leans into its own image. It knows what it's doing.
Absolutely.
I'm really hoping for what they call a boomer shooter, which is essentially a Doom-like. That's what I'm hoping for.
I just gotta wait and see what he has to show us, because if he's playing more Doom in the works kind of scenario, then that'd be for you and Nate, and I'll just kind of wait and watch on the sidelines.
I'm just gonna have to change your monitor colors. Everything's gonna turn green. It'll be fine.
Yeah, dude. I played Doom. I remember back in the day. Remember when we played Game On and Nate brought in Doom? That's what we played.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was an experience, I'll tell you. It was fun though. It's just chaotic shooting, right? But Nate plays it on
lightning
hardcore.
Fast.
Yeah, it is very fast. But for me, it's just not my kind of game. But I'm kind of waiting, sitting on the fence to see. I do always like and appreciate that it's a new IP. Can it withstand the time though, and kind of showcase well enough that the IP can grow into something more? I think that, but building off of Romero's name, obviously in his pedigree of gaming, I think he's got something probably special in the works. But it's only a matter of time. If he's building those, Scott, like when do you think we'll actually even see an announcement on the game?
Oh, I think that's still a couple of years away. If they're hiring and tooling up for that, I think it's not begun yet, not for another year.
That's fair enough. But what's going on for today, though, Scott? There is an actual game out for today. What is it?
Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 has re-released now on the PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Series consoles, Switch, and it is available on PC.
That's fair. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live at 11 a.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/the-official ITG, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew. That's Scott. We'll see you inside the game.